People have the idea that God in the Muslim tradition is a punishing God. I can't think of one time I've ever read anything that didn't have those words after his name. So I don't understand. I would think that the Christian version of God is the one you would think would be more punishing. I was raised as a very strict Catholic, and I more often heard about the wrath of God than I did about the merciful parts of God.
Well, there certainly are. I mean, there's no doubt that there are parts of the Quran where God unleashes terrible punishment on people in this world.
Yeah, but that's
right?
That's not what people say when they begin their prayers and
That's
they
right.
say the name of God, or they
That's
greet
correct.
someone and say the name of God. That's not.
Yeah.
Those are not the first words that come out of people's mouths.
Right, and you know, there's a hadith. From the Prophet, which is supposed to be, it's called the Hadith Qudsi. So in other words, he's relating the words of God, but it's not a Quranic text. We'll talk more about that tomorrow, the mechanics of that. But where it says, and again, God speaking, I am as my servant thinks I am. So I always say, think of God as merciful, right? And the Quran gives you many, many examples of that mercy, right? So when human beings come for judgment, you know, if you were to read the descriptions of hell, you might say, yeah, punishing God, right? The descriptions of hell in the Quran are pretty strong, are pretty graphic, right? And they're descriptions of all kinds of torment. But at the same time, the Quran says when people come to judgment, on Judgment Day, there's also a lot of leniency. Right? For every good deed you bring, God counts it as 10. It's like we're so pathetic, he has to handicap us, right? He has to be like, oh, at least we'll multiply it by 10, right? Just so maybe you'll make it in. Or it says in the Quran that if you avoid the major sins, God will forgive your minor sins. Right? Or it says the only sin that God can never forgive is the sin of polytheism, of associating false gods with God. Right? So all of these things push one toward the idea of a God that judges with a tremendous amount of leniency. Nonetheless, right, there are some people, the Quran says, end up in hell. And I think that just draws people's attention.